Welcome. This is Love and Truth Radio. I'm here in the lab with Rafiqi Green. He is a Chicago MC and a singer. He writes. He's an activist. Does a lot of great work in the community. Been doing the hip hop thing for a very long time. He was recently featured in Taking It to the Streets, right? And he was there with Brother Ali and a lot of other cats. So welcome to the show, Rafiqi. How you doing today, man?
Peace and love, man.
How you been? It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've been trying to connect. You know, schedules haven't aligned up yet. Finally got you in.
Yeah, man. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to have you here. Tell us how you got into hip hop. How the kind of music that influenced you early on, and what made you fall in love with the art form.
Well, for me, from the west side of Chicago, I kind of grew up listening to varieties of music. I have a Christian background, so I come up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
So music started there for me. I have a musically inclined family. And then growing up in the North Londale community, I would always hear the Twisters, the Do or Dies, the Crucial Conflict,
Yeah.
and the Bone Thugs and Harmonies, the 8 Ball and MJGs, and you name it. And then from my dad's side, see, what I'm giving y'all now is like that's mom's side, so that's growing up in the hood, quote unquote.
Okay.
But on dad's side, I get the KRS-Ones, the Rakim, the Common, the Mos Def, the Talibs, the Roots, the Erykah Badu's, the Music Soul Childs, you name it.
Yeah.
So I kind of take all that and balance them all out, and those are my influences, man.
All right. So how old were you when you first picked up a pen and started writing to beats? Working with music like that.
Man, I had to be like 10, man. I believe I was, about 10, 11.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, 11.
And did you ever battle in school? Did you ever have a crew you rhyme with, or anything like that? Or were you kind of a loner?
No, actually, me and a close friend of mine was just joking about this a few weeks ago. And I was in a group from 3rd grade to probably 7th or 8th grade. And it was called the Biggie Backpacks.
Okay.
And we used to travel around in Chicago, winning talent shows. I mean, from Channel 19 to WGCI.
Wow.
If you from Chicago, you don't say 107.5. You just say WGCI or GCI.
Yeah.
That's what we call the radio. But anyway, so from 3rd grade to 8th grade, man, I was in a group. We rapped. And it was off the chain, man. That kind of like cultivated and shaped and molded my talent at that time, and it blossomed,
What would you say as far as Chicago being the city that it is, having distinct characteristics in the comedy of cities? There's a lot of cities out in the world. There's a New York style, and then LA has a lot of cats, even Houston now, Atlanta. So what would you say are distinctive features in your music that you picked up from Chicago, from the character of the city, the attributes of the city that's in your music that you feel like, the city gave you?
Just the struggle, the pain, the realness, staying true to you. Yeah, that's Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Stand true to the cloth that you're cut from, and again, balancing it all out and holding on to it. That's Chicago, man. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We survive, we struggle. Where we struggle and we survive that struggle. That fighter's mentality, that that strong will. That's how I would stamp it all.
When you grew up, is there any mentors, anybody that showed you some things, whether it was music or life or anything like that? Some people that kind of took you under their wing and showed you a few things.
Yeah. It's I mentioned my dad's side of the family. I was introduced to hip hop from my uncle, Fasha Ra.
Mm-hmm.
He himself was underground hip hop artist here, and we talking like late '80s, early '90s. Doing that backpack era and all of that. So check him out, man. His stuff. He got some stuff on there. Fasha Ra. He kind of took me in. First time I've ever been to the studios, my uncle, Fasha Ra, and helped me, showed me how to put songs, in structure. I was writing, but he kind of, okay, this is 16 bars, this is a chorus, this is, and this is the recording process, this is how this goes. So he took me in, and then from there, I have, again, my mom's side, growing up in a musically inclined family. From the church, I had, cousins who played instruments. They all helped and to shape and mold my talent and see that it blossomed. So when you hear me, Rafiqi is just not a rapper. Rafiqi is a artist. He sings, he writes, he does it all. So, and it's so many that I could name, but I would just keep it, with just a few. But overall, the one who was impactful was my uncle, because he took me to the studio. So it was just like, okay, love of my life. It was like one of those Erykah Badu and Common moments.
It was just a moment for them.
Man. Fell in love with hip hop, man.
All right. Well, one of the things we like to talk about and do here at Love and Truth is that, Love and Truth is about positivity. It's about light. It's about people spreading happiness and hope and, talking about the struggle, but not glorifying anything negative. You could talk about something negative, but it's not like something to be glorified, because one of the things I would say in hip hop currently is that I feel like it's mass commodified. So everything is, number one, we don't really know who the audience of this type of hip hop is. When you listen to some of these cats that can't even really rhyme, can't even hold a flow.
True.
And the beats are even bad. I mean, like, the old school beats, some of them are just so grimy. I'm not saying nobody in the new school is doing good stuff, but the majority, and it just seems like it's like a lost era,
Yeah.
And some of these cats, I don't know who it was that came on with Sway, and he was just throwing everybody old under the bus. I forgot his name, but he was basically like, forget all them old cats, like, I don't know why they complaining about us. And then he pulls out his phone to put his rhymes on, do his freestyle and stuff. And it's like the culture has been lost in a lot of ways, I feel like.
There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. And if you look at in particular the African American community, the elders and the youth, there's no connection. There's a disconnect. And it shows in any industry or any whether it's sports, whatever, it shows, it comes out, is what I'm saying. So the music industry in that moment, that young, whoever that was, that rapper, I can't put on, I forgot who it was, but I think I heard
not really important either,
yeah,
to be honest.
But that shows, there's a disconnect, because if he respected his elders, if he knew of those who came before him, the Rakims, he respected. And you know what, man, I actually learned something from Nas, from Jay, from listening to their bodies of works that they put out here. And I started rapping from that, from being influenced from that. Today we just have what do I call? I don't even know what to call it, man. They just wake up today and they rap. Or they wake up today, hey, I play basketball. I don't know what's going on, man.
It's like the skill set is lost. The fundamentals, I feel like, is lost on both ends. You know, even when you look at basketball, right? I mean, you know, a lot of the young cats that come up, like people want to be Steph Curry and shoot 40-footers, but they don't put in the work to get to that point. You know what I mean? And they feel like everybody's an overnight success. You know, we're so ADD with like Instagram, Snapchat. We're always in like our heads are always you know, in so many different areas that it's hard to like sit down and put something that's quality out, because a lot of people just want to, you know, I want to just put this out because people are gonna like it anyway. Because the label is gonna push it, and you know they're gonna make sure that it's hitting the right audience that's probably like 14 to 16 years old that don't even really know anything. And, you know, I ask some of these kids and they say I'm like, why do you like these cats? And they're like, I don't even listen to the lyrics. I just like the beat.
I just like the beat.
Right.
I just like the beat. But it was more than a beat for us. Our generation, we liked not only the track, we liked the album cover.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We like the art, the full picture of it. Like, we liked to read the lyrics. Mm-hmm. We like, man, we read credits. We looked at the whole thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But nowadays it's just like, okay, I just want this part of it. You know, it's like they take from one, like say rap. It's just one element within hip hop. Yeah. They don't take the whole of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had I say our generation, we were the last generation to see those who pop lock, you know, in the late 80s, early 90s, that still was alive. So we seen the graffiti, we seen the, you know, the MCs, we seen the LLs walking through the hood, you know, with the fake chains and the, you know, so it's like we seen the Michael Jacksons, you know, impersonators come through the hood, all this. So they don't see that, you know. They it's like they see a clone of one person, and this one person has dreads, this one person has tats, this one person drink out of this foam cup, lean, pop pills, and there's only one. See, we had different varieties. Yeah. You know, and we have more versatile. So but we pull from all of the branches of hip hop. See, right now and today it's like one dimensional, and we seeing it in their rhymes. We seeing it in the way they dress. It's like you listen to one song on the radio. And, you know, I mean, I like a lot of them out there, though. Some of them sound good, but they don't have any substance. They ain't talking about nothing. Yeah.
You can only listen to it for one purpose. You can't really listen to it and then, like, what I like to do with my hip-hop, with my writings, is that I want to make the lyrics very potent, but the flow is really dope. So then you just listen for the flow. But then when you go back and listen to it maybe the seventh time,
he actually says
eighth time, you start to listen and hear what I'm saying, and then you're like, damn, you know what I mean? And that's like a very exciting thing. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you gave me. It doesn't matter, you know, what kind of accolades I got or what the trappings of success, you know, whether it was females or whatever. It don't really matter, because, you know, we do it for the art form, you know. And I brought another cat on, Somatic. You saw some of his stuff, 24-year-old cat, very, very talented.
Dope. And, I watched it.
This cat is mad ill, right? And so that's the kind of people that I like to, you know, mess with and get inspired by, etc. And when people put that much effort into the rhyme schemes and making sure the flows, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of time. It inspires you. It inspires you.
It makes you feel like, man,
I need to go right.
Or, man, it's some people still out there that can challenge you. Yeah. You know, and make you stay up on your pen, you know, sharpen your pen, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Well, speaking of that, because of the young kids talking about the beats only, what we like to do is early on in the podcast have somebody spit whatever they want to spit, you know, because this is a cappella, there's no beat and stuff. So anything you want, 16, 32, 100 bars, whatever it is, have you spit
Let me see, man. I was born in what they call the holy city, the west side of the Shah. But this ain't Mecca, and they ain't Muslims, and they don't practice Islam. Instead, this is the slums. Vacant lots, abandoned buildings. gang banging and drug dealing, killing. The females around here go by the name of Bust Down. Lil' mama come here. Yeah. And the males go by the name of Joe, Lil' Daddy, Fam, and Famo. What you, Lord or foe? Breed of folks or black soul rockin' Riri's and Lokes round here. Yeah. Nigga is the common word. Ebonics is the common language. Negativity is the seed that's planted in the hearts and minds of the people. And the people don't like their own people, so the people ain't equal. If you ride of the defied and you people, so you know they ready to die for they people around here. It's hard to live around here. Crooked cops, I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You see, so that's the kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff we want to rhyme about. We want to talk about, you know, the city, the struggle, different things that we see. Yeah. And one of the things that I like about your music in particular is that you can switch up the flow schemes. You know, there's different styles. You know,
Thank you, man.
You know, that's one of the things. You know, I feel like a lot of young cats are not picking up from different sources. So as a result, you know, they have like sometimes they'll have an idol, and you know they sound like their idol. And I've seen this in this generation, like even in hip hop, I mean, even in basketball. Like, you know, you mentioned there's a cat that got drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Dunn. You know, if you watch him, you could just tell he's been watching Dwayne Wade tapes all his life.
Right.
I mean, you just literally see Dwayne Wade. You know, the way he moves, the way he shoots, and things like that. And so, to a degree, obviously, there's a pattern of success there. But you have to, as an artist, you know, carve out your own space that nobody can enter, you know, because nobody should be able to do what you do. I can't go to someone else to get what you do. Exactly. You know, and that's what I love about your music and your rhyme schemes and your style is that, you know, you switch it up, you bring in different elements. You can go heavy on the multiples, or you can scale it back.
I have to say the same about you too, Khan. I have to, man.
Yeah,
and for one, listening to your craft, it's like people will you have to be a fan of hip hop to know what Converse does, you know, out here. What you present, you have to know. Like if one of these guys just only listening to Lil Uzi, they won't get Con. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not saying that you're one dimensional. It's just saying you so much on like hip hop to the point where you stick into the core of it and you're able to go wherever you want to go with it with your own style. You know what I'm saying? To the point where for them being so one dimensional and all them sound like a Wayne or a Young Thug, you won't come off like that's original. They're just, that's whatever to them. But to somebody like myself, I feel like we both have our own. Right. Like, you know, we've cultivated our own craft. Right. You know what I mean? So people that spent that time to sharpen their own craft, they see each other, I guess. And I hope this makes sense. I'm trying to make sense.
No, I appreciate it. And the thing is, you know, And it's very doable. It's not like it's not like people look at stuff like that. Like if you heard when I first heard Big Pun, I was like, how am I gonna ever do like that? You know?
Oh, Big Pun,
Big Pun, right? I mean, I honestly think he would have been top 3, if not the best, if he had survived for
I agree.
And you know, Big L too. Big L had a dope style. So you know, it's like when you hear that, or even like, have you heard of Tone Deaf? You heard of Tone Deaf?
Tone Deaf? No. Put me on.
Tone Deaf, he's like a mix, man. I mean, he looks like he takes a little bit from like a cat like Twista. He's one of the fastest syllable writers, but the crazy thing is his lyrics stay at a very high level. See, a lot of them fast cats, they don't do the lyrics like really well. You know, they just make it sound good. You know, it sounds good. But Tone Deaf put the lyrics to it too. And then there's another cat named Gift of Gab who does crazy stuff with the multiples. And obviously in the past there was Coogee Rap and Rakim, and they was doing stuff that was like way beyond their time. You know, at the time people were doing little
Big Daddy
Dr. Seuss, Mother Goose type of rhymes, because you know they were just trying to keep the party jumping and stuff like that. And then these guys came in and like put a science on it, put the math on it,
exactly,
and then it had the crazy like symmetrical syllable structures and stuff, and it was just like, dang.
Yeah.
And then you had cats like Cannabis come out where it's like crazy multiples and the battle type of rhymes where it's like,
See, we can share that.
Yeah.
This is like foreign language for the youth today, and this is what they're missing. They skipped that lesson.
Yeah.
These are lessons we're sharing. Like we've been through that class. They skipped that. They skipped school that day.
they skipped school the whole year.
Yeah, they skipped school the whole year.
Yes, that's what it is. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. You, I think if I got this right, you grew up in a Christian household, and you did come to Islam about 10 years ago or so, right? So tell me what that process was like. What was the kind of questions you was asking yourself, asking God, kind of things that you was going through at the time, maybe that brought you to Islam and solidified you in Islam?
Well, for me, it was I have to always throw her name out there, my auntie Tyra. When I was I had to be around 10 or 11, around the time I first started writing rhymes. What year did that Malcolm X movie came out? Like 94, 95, right? Yeah. So 94, 95, my auntie Tyra took me to see the Malcolm X movie.
Okay.
Her name is actually Tyra Banks too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's beautiful. But I have to always share this because that sparked my journey, I believe. You know what I mean? The journey within, you know what I mean? Me being inquisitive and, oh man, who is Malcolm? What is this Islam? What is dude saying at the end of the movie? It was the Adhan. So I'm like, what is that, man? It always lived with me. And anytime I would hear it, I would always connect it with that movie. Meaning the Adhan. Like, so I would just be like, oh, wow, what is that? I got to know that. One day I'm going to know that. You know what? When I get older, I'm gonna get into that. But that kind of went to the back of my mind because I was in a environment where there's churches on every corner. And in the household that I grew up in, it was a Christian household, and we went to church, on Sundays. We were in Bible class. We were in choir rehearsal. We had family choir. We had grandmother. She's a minister. Uncles,
like a super Christian.
You know family. What I mean? So it's like with
the cape and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, with the cape and everything, man. For me, I wanted to get serious about it. That's all, And what put me to shame was a little boy came into the church, and he was at this time I'm like 17, 18, and this little guy comes into the church, and he's suited, looks really nice, and they invite him up to the pulpit, and they just throwing scriptures out for him to quote. And I was looking like, wow, this little guy from Genesis to Revelations quoted scriptures, and it puts me to shame. I'm standing there like, no, today has to be the day. So I opened the book, and I said, yeah, you're going to study this from Genesis to Revelations. I ain't saying that you have to quote him like him, but you have to understand because if this is the book that you're going to receive spiritual guidance and moral conduct from, you have to know it from Genesis to Revelations, and you have to stand on this, with firmness and conviction. So when I did my studies, I came to see that it's some misconceptions or some contradictions, and I mean all type of things going on in there. When I study who King James was, and I'm not bashing, I'm just being real.
No, be real.
For me, I felt like, wow, he was a slave owner. He was a pedophile. Wow, like he was into pedophilia, And I was like, whoa. And this is the most requested Bible, especially within the black community. So I felt like. Then I looked at the different chronologies of this Bible that was put out over time, the tampered, all of that. I looked into it. So for me, I took my notes and I sat down with ministers, sat down with the pastor. And this is like just before I left. I had to do this before. If I was going to leave, I felt like I had to sit down with the heads and ask these questions. So I had tons of questions to ask. And a lot of them, they couldn't give me straight answers. Yeah. And I was okay with that. But I felt like, okay, look, this is my journey. I have to leave the church. But wherever I go, this is what I said to myself. Wherever I go, I'm not leaving my belief in Jesus and all of the other prophets and my belief in God. I have to take that with me. So on my journey, it clicked to me like, well, I'm meeting different people, 5%ers. I mean, you name it. Chicago is very diverse.
Yeah.
So I have friends that's into, 5% of Hebrew Israelites, NOI. I mean, and I'm not saying that I pull from all of them. I was able to hear from their perspectives.
Right.
That's all. And then it clicked to me, man, you said you wanted to try what Malcolm did when you was little. I mean, Malcolm is like one of my idols, So I started to tap into Islam, and I come to find out, like, wow, Jesus was a Muslim.
Yeah.
Moses was a Muslim, which means one who submits himself or herself, solely to the Creator, the one true God. So for me, I felt like that's what Jesus did. I felt like that's what Muhammad did. I felt like that's what all the prophets did. And I felt that for me, I was connected with the Creator and the creation in a way that I had never been before. So Islam was just me returning to my natural disposition. So please forgive me for taking so long trying to explain it.
But then and it was a process. You met all these people and you took a little bit from them, and then I'm sure you went and studied, right?
Yeah,
so you started studying the Quran.
Oh yeah, I sat down and studied. After I made the declaration and saying, okay, listen, this is what I believe in the one true God, and I believe that Muhammad is the seal of all of those prophets. And from there I started to sit with brothers and learn. And here I am today, man, and I stand on those morals, those principles. And here's Rafiqi Green, man.
Okay, and so let me ask you then, tell us more. You belong to the Muridi Tariqa, right?
Muridiya.
Yeah.
Murid.
Okay.
Muridullah. It's pretty much.
Tell us a little bit more about that, the background of it, and everything like that.
Well, Muridullah is it simply means the pathway to Allah.
Okay.
And it's a brotherhood, that was established by Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, who was a scholar from Senegal who went through so many tests and trials. We talking like 1800s, like late 1800s, until like he died in 1927, and he went through all of these trying times with the French colonialists.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that specifically. Like, how's that affecting you today, and what was that story about?
Oh, let's okay. Like the French colonialists, they came into West Africa, and of course, what they did was come to take over other people's property. You know, and not only the French did this, you had the Germans, you had the British. You know, they all just looked at the continent of Africa and said, okay, you take this part, and we're gonna take this part.
Yeah,
So
divided
that
it
was
up.
kind of, like the what's that? The Berlin Conference or something. What was that?
What year was that?
What was it, like
18?
probably 14, 15, somewhere around
Okay.
there. So this is like all of those, heads, they sat down in Europe and thought to, okay, this is how we're going to divide up Africa. The British, y'all get this end, okay. French, y'all get this. So that was kind of what was going on at that time,
Mm-hmm.
So they came into West Africa, and they whole plan was to divide and conquer. And Muslims at that time were they were losing their Islam, they were losing their faith. Not only Muslims, Christians, and people who just had Unitarian like way of life, you know what I mean, who was just, so they kind of lost it from being oppressed. And the French did exactly what they set out to do. They divided and conquered. So it was more bloodshed amongst tribes and things of that nature. But Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, what he did was he stuck with the original teachings of Islam.
Okay.
So he's also known as a reviver of Islam at a time when it was dying out, at a time where a lot of the scholars in West Africa, scholars in West Africa, where they didn't return. If the French took them on that ride, some of them never came back home. But Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba came back home, and through this, we see we are students of his. We take his teachings and we apply them. His teachings was his way of writing poetry. He wrote poems about how much he loved the Prophet. He wrote poems, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wrote poems about the oneness of Allah. He wrote poems about fiqh, poems about tasawwuf, how to purify the heart, and things of this nature. And those poems are called qasaids or qasidas. So we learn, when we saying his teachings, we talking about the poems that he wrote, about these different branches of Islam, which is Tawheed and things of this nature. So when we saying his teachings, we not talking about anything other than Islam. So we have to get that straight, because a lot of people, have those misconceptions. So this is, it's so much to go into, and it sounds like I'm over here and over there, but this is what Muridia, this is what it's about. It was a brotherhood started in 1883 by Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, who was from Senegal, who is known as, he's like a world renowned scholar, and for the past 70 to 100 years, people have been, start knowing about him and his teachings. They all in the Field Museum here in Chicago. He has a library in Senegal, like 7 tons. He wrote 7 tons, or probably more, and it was just a whole lot, that he contributed to Islam. And as Murid, I feel that it's my duty to tell people about Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba so they can come to know about this great scholar of Islam, So, yeah, that's Muridia. That's Muridullah. That's what it's about. Also, let me just say, Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba didn't like to call it a tariqa. He liked to call it a brotherhood, because a tariqa is named after a man. We're not Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba-ins, we are Muridullah. So this path is to get closer to Allah. So that's the journey, nearness to Allah, So that's what it's about.
So Rafiqi, let me ask you about the activism. You're involved in the community. You've been involved in the community for a while. Tell me how that began and what kind of things do you do in the community? What organizations are you a part of, and what's driving you with that?
Word, man. First, it all started, for one, having the drive to want to do something within my community because I got tired of seeing all of the killing, and things of that nature. So I wanted to get linked with certain community organizations, and one that I've just feel so close to is Iman.
That's the Inner City Muslim
Action
Network.
Network, yeah. So they pretty much took me in, and I went through certain training classes with them. Organization, leadership skills, and things of that stuff. And from there, I just wanted to bring that to the West Side, to North Londale community, and it's still a struggle, but, I always make myself available to get out and do the work, whether even if it's not in my community, at least it's with Iman, and I'm always trying to, be a part of wherever it's active at, I want to be there, but we still got a lot of work to do within our community meaning the North Londale community. Just this past summer, we had the we kicked off a Dare to Be Different movement, and okay. What that was, it went viral on Facebook, and what it was, me and another young brother by the name of Arsenio, he lives a few blocks away from where I grew up, but we all from quote unquote the Holy City, which is the birthplace of the Vice Lords, but they call it the Holy City. So ain't nothing holy about this city, this part of the city, is ain't nothing holy but the gunshots and that's shattering the glass, windows and things of that nature, or that's in the car door, or the hole that that's in somebody's child's body, man. You know what I mean? And this is the reality. So that's the only thing I get about Holy City, but nothing is holy about it. So we wanted to dare them to do something different. Me and the little homie Arsenio, and we went from block to block cleaning up, and we were asking people out in the community to come out, pick up a broom, and we was challenging the local gangbangers to pick up a broom and put the guns down. You know what I'm saying? And that went well. We did good with it, for a while, but eventually some things kicked off in the streets, and we had to fall back on that, and we had to take other avenues, do other things, because we didn't want the kids out there in the way, and we didn't want to put nobody in harm's way. So I just try to spread myself around, man. You know, I just try, man. It's sometimes it's like you almost feel like there's no hope. I'm just being honest, you know. You just feel like there's no hope, but you gotta always stay active, you know. So that's my thing. If it's dark on this side of the globe, I mean, you know, you gotta go get that light, you know, and hopefully come back and you'll be the light, you know, where it's dark at. So, you know, inshallah, you know, a lot will change within my community and around the world, you know. So inshallah, man, we just gonna try to keep pushing, man, and stay active, man.
Let me ask you this about that specifically. Inglewood has very high crime rate, very high murder rate. South side of Chicago in general, west side of Chicago also. Some parts just look dilapidated and destroyed. Now, there's a lot of theories as to why this is the case. And I wanted to get your perspective on it, being that, you know, you're in the vicinity a lot and you see things. One thing is that some people will say this is all white supremacy. And the white supremacist system and the paradigm, and you know, a lot of people have been, you know, saying that, and maybe have been taught that. Other people will say, like Muslims, for example, might say, well, Allah says in the Quran, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change
what's within themselves.
That's right. So, and those two things are kind of polar opposite. And then, of course, there's, you know, personal responsibility on each individual's part and community's part as a whole. There's also a lot of fatherless homes. So give me a broad perspective, a top-down perspective of why you think this is the case, where, you know, this is like fratricide, you know, brother killing brother, you know, and it's really not benefiting the community, you know. A mother buries one child, another mother buries her child, and then back and forth, and then also the reasons why they're killing each other is really, really stupid in our opinion, right? Because it's really about, oh, you disrespected me, you looked at me the wrong way, or you said something to me, and, you know, and then it can boil over from there instead of a fist fight like it used to be back in the day, where, you know, you just, okay, we're gonna throw down and that's it.
Yeah, those days over with.
Yeah, these kids,
the good old days.
So these kids, they kill each other instead, and you know, and also if you look at it, I mean, if you compare it to the Palestinian situation, it's a little different, obviously, but there's this hopelessness that they just don't expect to make it, and you know, they think that they'll be very, very lucky if they make it out. You know, and so that's why it's like a day-to-day thing as opposed to looking at your life like, hey, what do I want to do with my life? You know, they don't even think like that. And I can tell you from firsthand, because I've talked to some of these kids, and, you know, we have a community center at 44th and State, AMC Center, and we're gonna build that up. But in that area too, that's what I notice is this sense of hopelessness. So give me a broad perspective of why this is the case, because you know, it's easy to blame one party or another, but you know, there's stuff is still happening, and it seems like nobody's really doing too much to fix it. I mean, obviously cats like you, me, other people doing a lot of things, but it seems like it's not really stopping, you know. Obama was supposed to bring hope and change, and since he left, it's actually gotten worse. So give me a broader perspective on why this is happening.
Well, for me, I feel that it's the conditioning, you know, of the African Americans, you know, in particular, you know, that struggle that we've went through and endured for so many generations. Coming off the plantation, man, that psychic trauma, you know, these books that, you know, the Michelle Alexanders and all these people.
Sultan Latif wrote a book called Psychic Trauma. I don't know if you've seen that.
He
was the only mentor I ever had.
Yeah, I didn't finish that book, but I read a whole lot, like almost finished it in college actually. But this type of trauma, you know, that's passed down generation to generation to generation, being disconnected from homeland, culture, way of life, religious practices, and being forced and enslaved, for 400 plus years, man, and to just be emancipated, so to speak. No therapy, none of the people who come off the plantation, I haven't heard of them sitting down, with any doctors psychologically to see, are you okay up there? What's going on? Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead about your way. So that stuff is passed down through generations, and it gets to us, and this is the result of it all, man. We see fathers against sons, or fathers leaving families. The women are against their men. They don't care if he's there, because they eating out of the hand of the government.
The government's the baby daddy, basically.
Yeah, government is the baby daddy right now. So
provider.
This kind of puts the men in a position where I don't have to do nothing for you anyway. In fact, I'm nothing to you anyway. Of course, I can leave easily. And the sisters, they like, I don't need, gooseneck and rubberneck. I don't need you anyway, blah, 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 blah. So what we don't see is what's happening in the grand scheme of things. This is a black family in particular, being destroyed. So look at those kids. They're looking up to dad. They looking up to mom. Dad, some of them never seen dad. Mom, And we have drugs and everything that's doing what it does, within these impoverished communities, And also we have food deserts around here. And also we have gang wars. So all of this, come on, man. What? How could you possibly think straight? It's so much that's going on, in particular with the black community. You know what I mean? In respect to the others, I'm just dealing with this one because it seems like this whole Black Lives Matters, the I don't know, what is it, a statement or is it a movement, or but just looking at it, I mean, it seems like we don't matter, and it seems like we don't matter to us also. So this tie
even
in
more so sometimes.
Yeah, this tie in with that scripture that you just quoted from, that Allah won't change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. Yeah, this is self-accountability. This is, it's time for us to do some self-assessments. You know what I mean? It's time for us to look at ourselves and where we've dropped the ball. How can we revive a dying community? What will we do? Do we remember the Marcus Garveys? At a time, we talking about 60, 80, almost, 100 years off of the plantation. These people revived the black community.
And in many cases, they were doing a lot better than they're doing now.
Exactly. Tulsa, again, the UNIA.
Yeah.
Even to Noble Drew Ali and the American, the Moorish
Science
Temple, and the NOI.
Yeah.
We have totally got distracted with this being divided, you know, to whatever your beliefs are, and we let that divide us, you know, from, I mean, those things that matter the most. Like, I mean, what about preserving life? What about, you know what I mean? What about coming and putting that dollar together so that our kids can eat? You know,
keeping the money in the community.
Keeping the money in the community.
Mm.
Like, so the blueprint that was just set before us, that been destroyed also. It was a collective effort, you know, that was made to destroy that also. So now those leaders that we did have, you know, they were assassinated, you know, and those heads that we had, you know, they were taken from us.
You're talking people
like the Garveys,
yeah,
you know, the Malcolms, the, you know, even down to the, you
Fred
know,
Hampton.
the Chairman Fred, you know. So it's like, look at that, and then look at the youth today, you know, even the gangs. It's like, it was structured at one point.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Fort,
the Jeff Forts, the Hoovers, the, you know, all of these, you know, it's like, come on, man. It was structured at one point. And I'm not, you know,
condoning.
I'm not condoning that, but we talking about every head that we had from the plantation to now. They made some effort to destroy that strong black man in front of his community. So all of that play a part to answer your question. You know, it's a conditioning over years that's been passed down generation after generation, and this is the result, man. And it's like, when will it ever end? But at the same time, tying into that scripture, when will we hold ourselves accountable? When will we change what's within our hearts? When will we look back at Marcus Garvey and Elijah Muhammad and Noble Drew Ali and all of these figures who were before us, who laid the blueprint, do for self, you know, and stop eating out of the hand of the man or the government. You know, when will we hold ourselves accountable for what our youth is doing today? You know, it's like, come on, at some point we do have to hold ourselves accountable. So that's what's happening, man. That's what's happening right now. And it makes you almost feel like, you know, I have no more hope, you know, but then that's always, you know, looking into the little boy that you walked past earlier in the hood, and he was like, it was a simple thing. Man, I like your beard, you know, something simple like that. He smiled, and it's like, man, you know what? I'll do it for you, man. You know, so moments like that makes you want to, you know, get back out there or get back in the ring and try to figure it out and see what you can do and join with those and stay active with those who really care, you know, and they don't have to be African American. I'm talking about the condition of the African American, but it's not limited to the African American. You know what I mean? I'm trying to connect it to the struggle worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, this is what we have to do. We have to connect ourselves to those Palestinians who's over there struggling right now.
To the Kashmiris, to the Yemenis, to the Iraqis, to the Afghans.
To the all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, our struggle is their struggle. You know, so sometimes we get so black power-ish to the point where you forget that Malcolm was trying to connect the struggle, you know, all over the world. Fred Hampton was connecting the struggle all over the world, because those people are the ones who are struggling, who can come together and make a difference. You know what I'm saying? And put an end to all of that. So, I mean, that's the best I can answer that question, man. It's so we can go on and on, but yeah, I think it comes from that. It starts at the plantation. Yeah, and this is the result.
So also one of the things that's kind of tied to that, and I think that is very important to discuss, is there is always a sense outside of the African American black community that other people seem to want to help, specifically Jews. The NAACP was founded by Jews with W.E.B. Du Bois, but he left. People don't remember that.
We be Du Bois.
Yeah, he left. He left after, I think, a year.
Yeah.
And then many years later, it was about 60-something years before they could get a black man at the front of the NAACP, which is pretty peculiar if you ask me,
This is
considering it's
history.
the national
It's
investment.
documentary. This is true. What the brothers speak.
Association for the Investment of Colored People. I think it was 1973 when they finally stopped appointing a Jew at the top of that organization, and putting a black man there. And then even then, if you consider that's the history of the movement, what kind of black man is really at the head of that kind of organization, right? The civil rights era also had a lot of participation from Jews. Martin Luther King, in fact, many of his speeches were written by Stanley Levinson, who's a Jew.
Not a funding from,
early on. So one of the things that is important, in my opinion, is to delineate who we should, allow into the community
leadership
for the leadership position, right? And you mentioned Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter may have been started by black people. It's kind of murky, but at this point, it's a international organization with well over $100 million at its disposal. Primarily, they came from George Soros, who is a financial terrorist Jew billionaire, and he also financed the Occupy Wall Street movement. He's financing these protests against Donald Trump, getting people all riled up. He's
facts, y'all. These are facts.
Yeah, absolutely. People can go check this out.
Facts.
So I want to know. And also with Black Lives Matter, one of the other things you'll notice is that they have elevated black homosexuals at the top of the movement.
And they try to, I've noticed that too, and they trying to like intermingle or like put both of them like this is with that. No, this struggle can't amount to that struggle. That's a choice.
Gay is the new black.
Yeah, that's your choice. That's your preference. How could your preference match my struggle?
Right. That I didn't have anything to do with creating.
I was forced into that. That's for damn sure. Versus your preference and you.
Not only even that.
To me, it don't.
Not only even that.
Don't amount.
Homosexuals aren't even oppressed. Not in this country.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they all in the government. They actually writing your
they
laws.
running things.
They running things. So how you oppressed?
They run the fashion industry. They are starting to run even hip hop.
Yeah, even hip hop. They got
Kanye wearing skinny jeans. Kanye is so rich and powerful, but yet he's pushing a gay agenda when he's not even gay.
Well, again, that goes to that preference thing, and I don't stand behind it, but.
And if you notice the Muslim community is also tying their struggle, whether it's Islamophobia domestically or whether it's the war on Islam globally, that is being done by Zionist occupied governments in Europe and America.
Facts.
These people, these Muslims, these modern day young Muslims, and some of them are a little older, they feel like there is currency and clout and traction in tying their struggle with 4 million Muslims have been killed since 9/11. Okay, somewhere in that neighborhood, they feel that they need to tie their struggle to the homosexual agenda and to the homosexual, lobbying and the so-called activism and uprising. So when you hear these people speak, I'm watching this on Facebook right now. This is happening right now. And people are constantly talking about, Donald Trump is a racist, sexist. Muslims now. Muslims are saying, what are we going to do about Donald Trump's anti-gay agenda? And it's like he didn't even say nothing against them, and those people aren't even oppressed. And you as a Muslim, at least outside of the United States, are really genuinely oppressed, right?
Yeah, really.
But you're tying yourself to them. So it's a long. I know. Brought it into a long, but it's long-winded point of this whole thing was to discuss and kind of discern where do you stand on outside kind of leadership coming in and telling black folks, for example, what to do with their energy and with their time, and what kind of movements to get behind, how to get organized, and what to do? Even the tactics of Black Lives Matter. They go to major highways and they make human chain barricades where cars can't pass through. What if there was a black kid in the car? What if there's a black kid in the car trying to go to ER?
I mean, some of these strategies just not smart to me, man. I remember, and I'll get to your to answer your question. I remember watching a documentary, I believe, of Malcolm X, and the sister said that she was marching with Martin Luther King, and peace and blessings and respect to both, but this sister said that the strategy when she met Malcolm, she looked at the strategy of protesting and laying down in the streets totally differently when Malcolm just simply said to her, like, would you lay in the middle of the streets in front of some man who don't care about you anyway? You land in front of his car. Something to the effect of this. I may not be quoting verbatim, but no, he asked her, why would you lay down, in the middle of the streets in front of a man's car who don't even care about you anyway? Do you think he will not run you over? And it's something to the effect of that. And she said, from when she got up, she just looked at the whole protesting thing and all these different strategies different. Yes, they do cause awareness, but some of these strategies, and things that they, come up with, I don't know who stands behind that stuff, like who comes up with these ideas, but they don't make sense to me. I've marched, I've protested before, but I haven't did it in a while, because I have to look at the grand scheme of things. Like, man, that's not what we need right now. Like kids or youth marching out on the E-way, and
it's not none of these
don't
people's
like
fault.
You're gonna hurt yourself. Like, really look at it.
And the people who are in the cars, you don't know who they are.
You don't know who they are.
You don't know what their political opinions are.
Yeah,
maybe they're on your side, and now because of what you do, they might not be on your side.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a time for it, and I mean it raises awareness, and it has its place. But I mean, it's time to go about things differently, man. Stop walking in front of cars, man, with these "we shall overcome" signs. It's not going. Please stop it. But to answer your question, I feel that right now, for the African American community or the black and brown community, I feel that the people who are from the struggle, they need to be the ones who, select one who understands the struggle, or who comes from the struggle, to represent them, in whatever position he sits in, or he or she sits in. If you're going to be my leader, you need to know, my struggle. You need to be relatable. You need to understand me, and I think outside forces, they don't understand. They don't understand your struggle. You feel me? So that's my answer to that, cut and dry. And I'll also referring back to Malcolm, man. When he came back from Hajj, prior to Hajj, he was saying, "Hey, we don't want to work with nobody that's white." Just being real. This is how he was We don't want to work with you. But when he came back, he's saying, okay, we can work with you under these conditions.
Right.
So that's how we need to be right now. Okay. We can work with them under these conditions, but the elite, our representative needs to be from the struggle or understand the struggle. And we can work with everybody else under these conditions. I think that's how it needs to be right now for the black and brown communities.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to bring up on that subject and on the footnote of that is that very recently, well, let me give the viewers a little bit of a background. The Clinton crime syndicate was born in the 70s, 80s, and all throughout the 90s, they had a lot to do with taking black fathers out of the community with the 94 crime bill, and it basically was a 3-strike rule.
You're out.
And you're out, and a lot of that was petty drug offenses.
Petty. Yeah.
And at the same time, Clinton had called black kids super predators. I don't know if people are aware of that, but here again, in an election cycle, here they go. The Democrats pop back up to check in on the community to have them go vote, and they came into the community once again, bringing Clinton on, and of course the Clinton crime record has gotten significantly longer. She's killed over 106 political opponents, assassinations.
Facts.
She's the email scandals. People think, it's just emails. It ain't no emails.
Facts.
There's pedophilia in there. There's satanic ritual child abuse in there.
Facts. There's
obviously major corruption where millions of dollars are coming in from outside nations
Facts.
to take over our government, and
Facts.
They somehow not only hoodwinked the African American community partially. I thought some of them woke up at the end, but also the Muslim community,
totally.
other minorities, obviously homosexuals, so many other people who are now who are campaigning very, very hard for Clinton and saying, hey, we want her to be elected and such like that. At the same time, there was Donald Trump, who was an outsider, who ran his own campaign, who was financing his own movement, flying to 4 different cities sometimes in one day, giving speeches with all this passion and power. In my opinion, he was, I don't think that his intent was negative, certainly not as negative as Clinton's. But in the aftermath, now we have all these protests, and we have black and brown people basically upset that they were unable to elect Satan. And Satan was about to take us to nuclear war in Russia. So I wanted to get your perspective on the election cycle, the whole thing, the brainwashing in our communities. Because right now they're berating and lashing out at anyone who doesn't agree with them. And they're doing it in the name of tolerance. They're doing it in the name of anti-hate and anti-racism. But they are actually promoting hate and promoting racism. Exactly. I mean, there was here in Chicago, I think there was a white dude who was just happened to live in a black neighborhood who got completely beat the hell up because they found out he's voted for Trump. And I mean, Trump never even said nothing negative about African Americans. And in my opinion, I mean, he really wants to fix the problems with that. There's a lot of work that he's done with other black leaders, and he made a big issue about fixing the inner city and bringing development into the inner city. So there's a lot of stuff there. A lot of people maybe have not studied it as deep as maybe I have, because I wrote an article about it and such like that. But I wanted to get your perspective on the whole election cycle and what transpired in it and what you took from it, and also the reaction of the community and what you expect going forward with that.
I have to be honest. I didn't vote.
Okay.
I didn't.
That's fine. I mean, I didn't vote until this time anyway.
I didn't vote the last time. I voted for Obama. The last time I voted was for Obama, and that was his first term. This election, it just seemed like you was really watching some like reality TV show or something, man. Like for real, And I'm like, seriously. What was the show that Trump had going on?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice?
Yeah,
really? We got The Apprentice going on, and then we got Hillary Clinton. Like, it was like she was a guest on his show or something. I really felt like that. So I didn't feel I don't ever feel a connection with politics or anything that the government like stamps, because
with their approval,
yeah, I don't ever feel a connection with it, because I mean, America is like they trying to live, by sweeping so many things under the rug, you know, and black folk still haven't got all of this back pay, and that stuff that's under the rug, the whole country, as a people, we are tripping over the rug, man. From the stuff that the government keeps sweeping under the rug, So when it comes to, the elections and all of this stuff, I'm hands off, especially with this one. I was just like
very skeptical of either of them.
Who are you gonna pick? And then especially when they came out with this, you have to choose the lesser evils type thingy, whatever have you ever heard that statement?
Yeah. The lesser
evil. Yeah, it just don't make sense. So that means, to me, you still choosing evil. I don't want to choose evil. I don't want evil, period. You know what I mean? So for me, I just took hands off, man, and just pray for the best, man. Pray Allah's protection, on all the believers, man. And I pray that we just hold on to our beliefs, to our morals, because we live in a society where having belief and standing on morals, having moral conduct and spiritual awareness, I say, these things are valued in the society that we live in, So that reminds me of something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said in relating to you saying that people being beat and threatened because of their choice of who they voted for. Some may be even killed out there, So this reminds me of something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said. Prophet Muhammad said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there will be a time where a person will be asked, why were they killed? And they won't even know. Or the person who's killing will be asked, why are they killing? They will say they don't know. And this is, a prime example of those times. We have to be living in those times, I believe. And it's sad, bro. It's sad, and it's scary, but not to those who believe, because this world is a prison for those who believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to keep our minds set on a goal. We're just passing through. We have to remember that we're just passing through. We're just like, look at this life like a journey through the desert. And you take a seat for a short period of time under shade. Then you get up and you finish your journey. That's how this life is, man, for those who believe. So if your faith is in the government, and if your faith is in Hillary, or your faith is in Trump now,
mm-hmm.
or still in Obama, I like to detach myself, and I like to follow those who believe in the oneness of God. I like to follow the teachings of Jesus.
Peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him. I like to follow the teachings of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Moses. And if we read the scriptures and all of these stories, we will see that they went against these type of um, powers that be. You know, Moses went to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." You know, Jesus spoke to what was the guy at that time? I forget what it was, but he spoke to the power that be at that time. You know, he didn't conform, nor did Muhammad conform.
Right.
You know, none of these, you know, who serve as our spiritual guides, they didn't conform. So this letting us know something. You know, this, if you are Muslim, you know what I mean, if you are Christian, you know, if you are people who have some type of belief, then you should clearly see that, you know, this thing will fail you, you know, believing in a system that is designed to oppress, deceive, kill, rob, and it's gonna fail in the end. So for me, beloved, it's just like I would rather die believing than conforming. You know, so that's my take on the election and the politics. You know, my views on the government. That's me. You know, and more power to anybody who play part of it. You want to play part in it, that's your right. Exercise it, but be smart. You know,
get educated about it.
Get educated about it, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and the thing is, I think on a national level, maybe this election was the first time that we've had an opportunity to make a significant change, and that's only because this cat didn't take anybody else's money, and I think that's important personally, in terms of, like, if you look at all the other politicians throughout, you know, the last several decades, every single one of them, except for Ross Perot in 92, they didn't, you know, they all took money from the banks and everybody else. So then, you know, the bank always wins, and if the bank wins, then that's it. So this is the one time this cat, you know, didn't take the money from the bank, and if you saw the media, they were universally antagonizing him. And so from that perspective, I was like, it only takes me 3 minutes to vote. I'm casting my vote for this man. That's my first time voting ever. But that's on a national level. I think locally, maybe you can make some small changes when you have local people, because these people are in the community, so they're a little bit more accountable. Yeah, you know.
And let me just speak about that. You know, although I take a position of hands off when it comes to politics, I have no problem. Again, working with those who are sincere about helping the people, especially on a local level. You know, it's nothing wrong with, you know, contacting or knowing who your alderman is, and getting to know them, and trying to see what changes that you could make within your community. Or it's nothing wrong with, you know, you have to know the mayor, you have to know what's going on in your district. You know what I mean? You have to be somewhat in tune with this stuff, you know what I mean? Because whether you are involved or not with politics, it affects you every day. You know, so locally, I mean, you know, we have to get involved, man. You know, you have to.
It's one weapon you can use. It should be in your toolbox if it's available to you. Meaning, indeed, you know, if there's a bullet you can shoot out of that gun, then go ahead.
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
That's kind of my take on it.
Get involved.
Yeah. Get involved with your community on your own level.
Keep your ear to it. You know, to the politics.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying like you have to be like me. You know. Because right now, the you like me saying this and say it's some youth out there watching it who aren't educated. This could probably mislead them. You know what I'm saying?
Get educated.
Get educated first. You know, I like to think that I'm educated to a degree of what's going on out here. That's why I make the decisions that I make. You know what I mean? Or make that I have made. You know, when it comes to politics. You know, so I'm educated to a degree about what's really happening. I'm always open to learn more about, you know, what's going on. But I still remain active, you know. You can't be, oh man, you voted for Trump, you vote, and you didn't vote, nor are you active in your community. Like, what type of person are you? You know, that's crazy to me. But if you are educated and if you are active within your community and you're trying to affect change, you know, then you can sit in position and kind of say, you know, you can speak your piece, you know, and say why you doing this, or, you know, you have evidence, you have facts, you have reasoning behind what you're doing. You have reasoning. Yeah. So educate yourself, and you know, get involved, keep your ear to it. Yeah. All right, well, we got a little maybe too deep there, but let me close it out with another verse from you. Hit somebody with something, you know. Man, give us something else before we close the show out, you know. Man, anything that comes to mind. Let me see, man. It's one of them joints I just did from what entitled "Letter to the President." And I just let you hear that joint earlier, right? Yeah. Man, I forgot how to kick off, bro. Wow. You could play it on your phone for a second and then catch the rhythm and then hit it. Man, let me see, man. Let me see. I'm slipping, man. Sometimes we write so many rhymes. Yeah, I'm slipping. Then it's the combo really got so good. Some of your fans might know more of your rhymes than you do. I have people that hit me up and they're like, "Man, you remember this song, man? I still listen to this." I'm like, "That's like 9 years old." Yeah, man. Well, if you could turn it up, you could just play it for him. That'd be even better because it's got the beat on it. Yeah. If you could play it and put it close to the mic. Let me see. Let me pull this up for y'all, man. I want to do the video to this joint soon, man. I think it'll make sense to do it before he leaves office. Before Obama leaves office. And it's not really a shot, me sending a shot. It's just me expressing myself. Y'all check it out. Mr. President, what's happening? I'm writing because things are still messed up in my neighborhood. Pretty much the same way it was. Around the time you gotta turn the volume up on the mic right in front. And since you about to leave, I feel it's only right for me to say this. Listen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Dear Mr. President, my name is Rafiqi, I'm from the ill state, the home of Chirac. Check the murder rate from the west side, the county of crooks. That's Cook County. You slip, you cook, food for thought. Ain't no food on the table, homie, what you thought? We heat the house with the oven and wash it up out the pot, homie. Boiling water till it's hot, homie. I ain't mean to call you that. Hey, there's a difference between you and I. I'm in the field, you in the house, suit and tie, under watch of the master eye. I got a problem with that, cause I've seen people vote or die, and when you won they cried. Believed you to be sequel to the king's dream. Now we all in that burning house like kings sing. I speak for the lockdown and sing. The poor and oppressed over in Beijing. Your speech is rehearsed, it's just a cover up. You gotta do what they say or lose your memory, pal, like Kennedy. I'd rather die speaking truth and as a man than let somebody put fear in me. You controlled by the wealthy, bankers, and corporations. Just tell the truth to the people so they can face it, Mr. President. Yeah. That's putting it lightly there. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Well, man, it was a pleasure. It was a great honor. My pleasure. I really appreciate it. My pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. Stay tuned. There's a lot of music coming from Rafiqi. Oh, indeed, man. Still young, you know. Yeah. I know this cat's younger than us, but we're still young. We're still gonna make some music. Oh, and, me and Converse got some things coming. You know, we got some. We gonna really. We got more to do, bro. We got a lot more to do. I'm still working on my project, Cage Freedom. More videos and interviews coming soon. And Yeah.
Let them know where they can catch you at. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
Snapchat.
me, Rafiqi Green, Rafiqi Green, like the color green. Snapchat me at Rafiqi 15. That is Snapchat Rafiqi 15, and Twitter is at Rafiqi Green, and yeah, pretty much, man. I'm there. SoundCloud. I'm Rafiqi Green on SoundCloud. In fact, YouTube, and just Google Rafiqi Green, man. You know,
Right.
save it all. It's all gonna pop up. And
Sure.
I'm there, man. I'm there. You know. Yeah.
All right, for sure, man. Appreciate it. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk very soon. God
Indeed.
willing.
Peace.
Peace and blessing.
Peace.